You have also been around the president. Have you people been misadvising the president?
I don't think the president can be misadvised. I mean, the people are advised. I remember even when I was even closer, the president I even worked closer with was Mwai Kibaki, and we met every day. We sat down, we had a state of the nation. He was briefed by intelligence, we briefed him and everything, and then we gave him advice. But the president decides whether to take our advice. A lot of times, President Mwai Kibaki did not take our advice. He said, no, itafanyika hivi. Because he is a president. Our job is to provide him with information, and so that he can make a decision or take a step based on knowledge, not based on ignorance. So this issue of President Miss being advised, Uhuru is not a person to be misadvised, you know. Yes, it is important to have the right people surrounding you at the right time and all that. It's neither here nor there. It's usually casting aspersions and everything, because even Uhuru herself was supposed to be in so-called kitchen cabinet. Uhuru Kenyatta, was she misadvising him? But let me get back to some of the things that my friend has said here. Umejitetea sana leo. Leo umejitetea sana. Now, you can see we are trying to tell people why you seem to have jumped ship from Uhuru Kenyatta's side, and you're trying to make an argument. But I can see where you're coming from, because also you need to be seen as a man who doesn't make wishy-washy steps. Now, when we talk about...
mate cannot make those kind of, I mean, before you chose me as a running mate, I chose you as a...
No, we understand.
We must have known each other's principles. And
Let him finish.
No, when I talk about reneging, and let me clarify here. When I talk about the Uhuru Kenyatta reneged on his agreement, and in every agreement, there's what senior wakili here, senior counsel here, and Wakili Mutua will tell you, what is called a sunset clause. There comes a time when you know that any agreement can end up in a divorce, in a political divorce. But there is always a reason to it. These are people who are very happy. They had a handshake in 2013. And the handshake that was there in 2013 was not for Uhuru Kenyatta. It was there for Kenya. Uhuru Kenyatta shook hands with William Ruto for Kenya. The handshake that was there in 2018 between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga was not for Uhuru Kenyatta. It was also for Kenya. So the handshakes that Uhuru Kenyatta has taken, they have been for Kenya. They have not been for himself. So let us not think that they are doing it for individuals. He was doing it for Kenya, for his love of the country Kenya. You renege an agreement if there's something wrong. Let me ask you, for example. You employ a house help, and maybe you sign an agreement to say, I'm going to keep this house help, and I'm going to have this house. But then you realize that house help is a child molester. That house help, anaiba jewelry anaenda kuuza. That house help ananyemelea, unaona? So you renege your agreement with this house help because you realize this house help is not the very nice house help that you thought when you brought that house help to your kids. Amekuwa akimolest watoto wako, ni child rapist. Akiingia ndani you realize you renege. So reneging is not wrong. The question we want to know is that what did Ruto do, or what did Uhuru Kenyatta see that made him renege? Because Uhuru Kenyatta, it would have been easier for him to have just let things flow. But also,
just allow me on that one. Just as you proceed,
and I'm not talking about your personal.
I know. I just wanted to bring up this point to you that when you make a promise, then there's a distinction and difference between a promise and a contract. So if you contract with somebody, so that you have your conditions, you have whatever, but generally in a promise, you're committing yourself wholesomely that this is what you're going to do. And if then you're using the word that indeed he reneged, that in my view would be wrong. It is failure to trust. But contractually, you can change terms. All
right. Let me bring
but if I can just finish. But see, it's the same thing. It's failure, because the issue is, why would you break a promise if there's no good reason? And I went to the Jubilee NDC, and Uhuru Kenyatta, I don't know whether you were there. We should have read the signs at that time.
I watched.
You watched, you are not there. We should have read the signs. Uhuru was very clear about the greed that he saw manifested in the person of William Ruto. The greed that said it is about him. And I've said here many times, say that if William Ruto had just behaved like the late President Moi, being faithful, working hard for the nation, doing development, huyu ndio boss, msaidie, angekuwa sasa ndio hata hii mambo ya kusukumana hakuna, you know, angekuwa ndio automatic president next year, very, very quickly. But it is a greed that was there that President Uhuru Kenyatta talked about. The things that he was doing that Uhuru Kenyatta felt that this is not the right person to leave this country for. So, I mean, it's a reality. And very final is this. What is the lesson we learned from all this? All these agreements, handshakes, we had Kalonzo Musyoka talking about that, you know, there was agreement. Let us stop politics and people joining hands out of convenience. Let us choose people who can work together, who are embodied to work together for the sake of this country, not for their own political aspirations. I think that's a lesson we've learned as a country. Okay. Because all these joining hands were done for personal benefit. Okay. So let's do these things for our country. So when William Ruto chooses his deputy president, when as running mate, when Raila Odinga chooses deputy president for his running mate, it needs to be people they can work together, not marriages of convenience. Okay. Not people who just come in because you want to win one group. But Governor,